Good morning, everybody. Spring is in the air, right? And with it, the joy of blooming trees and early flowers, and so much to which to look forward, because with the dwindling of COVID and restrictions, we're resuming more of our council programs and activities, and normality is coming around. The place is alive again, and without our masks, we can all take a deep breath. Okay. So let's start with our agenda. We have the minutes of our last meeting, administrative updates, treasurer's report, Monday market report, recognition and announcement and presentation of our Monday market people, and changes in the leadership of the Monday market, and coordinators who will be introducing our two spotlights today, and then our vice president will have a few words for us. So let's get going here. Secretary's report.
This is sort of pro forma. It's for the members of the council. The minutes of the previous meeting have been circulated and distributed, and I now ask for their approval. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. The minutes for the rest of you, they are filed in the white binder in the library, and you can also find them on HH Connect.
Okay, as another matter of business, at last week's council planning meeting, after due consideration, the council members unanimously passed the following recommendation addressed to the Board of Trustees and our senior administration. And it said, we, the members of the 2022 Residents Council, recommend that our trustees and senior administration enable the new vision statement by finding a way to offer priority resettlement to all displaced residents within the existing Horizon House facility. And we received in return very courteous responses from both the president of the trustees, Mike Meekin, and our CEO, Mike Ostrom. And Mike Ostrom says, I read to you, thank you, council members, for your recommendation. We absolutely are in full agreement that every effort should be made to relocate West Wing residents within the existing Horizon House facility, if such residents should so desire, and should a West Wing tower be built. That said, there may be scenarios whereby an off-site location would be necessary or preferred by selected residents. So we want to leave room for these possibilities. And now on our agenda, I want to leave room for our CEO to respond.
Well, thanks, and we did appreciate the recommendation, and it is truly our goal to try to relocate, should this all come to pass. And there are a lot of hurdles we got to get to before we know that we really have a building to build. But our goal is absolutely to do everything we can to relocate people within Horizon House. And that probably is like an 18-month process. So from whenever we really decide that we are a go, then it's like 18 months of really working to make sure that we can find those homes for people. One of the things I'll say about it is that it doesn't seem simple, but there's often a comparison to, hey, 50 people, 50 apartments, what's the hassle? Well, nobody wants to be assigned an apartment, right? People want a home that mirrors where they live in today. So it doesn't mean 50 for 50, right? Because not every individual would want just any apartment. They want one they're going to choose. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I'll just kind of jump into that section since we're kind of on it. You want me to go ahead? Is that fine? Okay. We have been having the one-on-one meetings. We've had 15 meetings through today with West Wing residents. We're prioritizing based on first, kind of overall well-being, and then on a seniority basis. And what do you know? They're kind of unique. Not everybody wants the same thing. There are certain common things. Everybody wants to be relocated. Not everybody. Some people want to be relocated. The majority want to be relocated. But we had a meeting with a couple of folks who said, well, it could be kind of a lark. If you found a fun place and it was a community of people, it was nearby and had all this and that, we could be open to that. So not everybody wants that same thing. And we'll see what it looks like when we get through all the meetings. But what we do find in the course of the conversation is that everybody's situation is just a little bit different. Some people want to move faster, regardless of whether or not we do something, just to get the anxiety off the table and just live with that outcome. We have people who say, I want to see the wrecking ball and I'll leave that morning. So, we have the extremes. We have people who say, well, I'm one and done. I want one move and I don't want to move ever again. And then we have people who say, well, I might want to. Can you give me an apartment that's pretty close to ideal, but I might change my mind. I might want to move. So this is why we have the conversation, so that we understand what are the situations for each resident, what matters to them, so that we can come up with some construct that is going to have the highest probability of meeting most people's needs. And then we got to do some one-offs, because there's going to be some that just don't fit within some construct that we come up with. But it's very helpful. It's very helpful to just simply listen to people. And here's the other thing that's helpful. By having the meetings in people's apartments, we have a chance to visualize what are people experiencing in their apartment. Whether it is how they have laid out their space, what they have in terms of built-ins, what matters to them about their place, what matters to them about their view or not. Some people say, I just don't care about the view. Somebody else goes, I want to be right here with the canopy, with the trees. I want to look out horizontally or down and see the trees. I want the birds right at eye level. Okay, well, that means you're not going to want to be on the 21st floor or something, right? So you learn these things by sitting around and having the conversation. So for those who feel like, maybe, this is some, exercise in futility, it's really not. It's a great way for us to internalize what matters to people so we can incorporate that into solutions. And our hope is that we will come up with solutions that are going to work for everybody as the very best that we can. I will also say that everyone has been really delightful, that people have been really fair and reasonable. No one's coming out in this big angry thing. No one's saying, hey, I'm so excited about something I don't want to do. Nobody's excited about that. But there is a sense of, okay, there is a purpose here. It kind of makes some sense. Some people actually went and read the strategic plan, right? Please do. It lays it out pretty clearly. You don't have to agree, but at least you'll know what the thinking was. So I encourage you to do that so you understand the why, so that you can participate in the how. The how is where we want to plug people in, because we can accommodate lots of different ways in which we do things. And as we have these meetings and subsequent meetings, more people be involved in the how. Between now and the end of May, give or take a little bit of June, we'll have all of our meetings. Then we'll kind of coalesce things, come up with some constructs, have some conversation about it. People will have changed their minds because, it's not, you're not locking it down, in this first meeting. But ultimately, by the time we work our way through the summer, we start coming up with something that makes sense for everybody. That's what our goal is. Okay. On to other stuff. Let's see. We had a great Valentine's Day event and a really cool ice sculpture that we should have had at New Year's, but good thing about a freezer is it kept it intact. So don't cut the power to the freezer. We had our all-staff meeting, it was a couple weeks ago. And I can't say enough about being in person, whether it's in person here or in person with our staff. It matters that we make the personal connections. It matters that we are not faceless people just making decisions in vacuums, whether it be on behalf of residents or on behalf of staff. Getting together and remembering that we're all kind of real people doing real things with good intent is important. And it was demonstrated by that meeting with our staff. I read something in a paper today online, I think it was talking about how office space has got to be redesigned for the future, that the paradigm shift of a partial group of people working from home is here to stay. Now, we care about that for reasons other than office space, and I'll touch on that in just a second. But the point was that at least 25% of people are not coming back to the office. There's probably about 30 or 40% that will come back and be fluid. They will come and go. And then the rest will be people who will be in the office. But the key is you got to make the office space something that people care about, because otherwise, why even bother to show up? So that means redesigning space, having it be more collaborative, thinking about what people are going to, what they're going to want in their office space. Why we care about that is because the better the solution is, the more people that come to the office, the more people that come to downtown, and the more we outnumber the vagrants on the sidewalk, and that gets pushed back to other places. And that is true. The reality is that if you have people flowing in downtown Seattle that are, like us and the business workers, then you don't have as many tents going up, and we can be helping the city in that way. So we want to see the downtown Seattle office market come back for our own purposes of safety on the streets. I think the mayor's doing some good work. It's a pretty tough hill to climb, but we're sending off a letter here shortly that is going to further encourage him to keep doing that stuff. Let's see, COVID reminders. Yeah, you guys don't have to wear masks, but be thoughtful about it. I see a number of you are wearing masks. I normally would wear it, except for I'm doing this up here. Be thoughtful about it, be safe about it. We definitely know that AL people, if you're up there, you got to wear the mask. It's optional within regular HH spaces for independent living folks, but our contractors and staff, we want to be wearing masks, and you'll see that. People coming in can now come into the outside for the Monday market, but wear the mask. Let's see, and I think, and then the other is, we'll have the CEO monthly report that comes out for, at the end of the month. So, take a look at that. There are a few things in there. It's part of our transparency. And also coming up in the next couple of weeks is ProMatura is the marketing group that we are working with to help us understand the market acceptance of this West Tower. And it's a pretty serious focus group that is going to dive into not only the economic capability of people to participate in a new West Tower, but also are they culturally consistent with who we are. So we ask lots of questions and try to dig deep into, are you somebody who wants to really kind of create the program, run the program, design the program, or are you somebody who wants to choose the program off the menu? Because one is a lifestyle organization and the other is a resident-driven one, and we know which one we are. So we want to dig deeper on that to make sure that when we try to figure out if there's enough people out there that care about what we're doing, that they are people who are consistent with our culture and will be accretive to our culture. So we're going to find out a little bit more on that study over the next couple of weeks. And again, just so everybody is kind of clear, I sent out a message on Friday just to kind of give people an update. What I notice is that I send out something, people have a lot of clarity on day 1. And by the time we get to day 14, it looks like we're building a condominium on Mars. Then we have to kind of get back up here, and then we kind of keep doing that. So that's the cycle right now. It's every other week. Who knows? We may reach a point where it's every day, but it's every other week that I try to kind of do a reset and try to capture some of the misunderstandings, kind of clarify it, and then we start off pretty good, and then we kind of begin our descent, and then on day 14, I try to bring it back up. So that's that plan. But the bottom line is we've got lots of work to do this year just to determine, do we have a viable project? And I'll tell you, my single biggest concern is not that we don't have people who want to be in a place like Horizon House. It's, is downtown Seattle going to come? Are we having World War III? Are we having inflation? Are we having a real estate problem? Are we having a general economy problem? There are a lot of externalities that we can't control that maybe we like our project and have people, but we get nervous that the rest of the market doesn't support it. Okay, that was probably a little longer than usual. Thanks.
Hello, I'm the treasurer to give you the treasurer's report update. There we go. So February was a good month, lots high income, $7,830, low expenses because not all the committees are able to spend their money and have all their events. So we had a profit of $4,268. So our year-to-date also shows higher income than budgeted, lower expenses than budgeted, and so a year-to-date profit of $17,433. March is the end of our fiscal year, so would like everyone to please turn in any expenses that apply to this year before the end of the month. And your budget balances do not carry over. We start the new year with a new budget. So the budget committee has approved the budget for next year. We have received from Monday Market an estimated income of $76,000, estimated expenses of $102,384. We hope that the committees will be able to have the programs that they are projected to have. And so we estimate the loss for the year at $26,000 some dollars. And we have ample funds to cover this expected loss. I have posted the budget in the mailroom on the Residence Council bulletin board and also on HH Connect if any of you would like to see the details. And all the committee chairmen should know by now how much of what their budget was approved to be. And if not, they can look in one of these places and find out. Now I'd like to introduce our Monday Market coordinators, Cami and Susan.
Hello, it's so odd to be without a mask. I tried the other day when I take a walk in the late afternoon and I said, oh, I'm gonna go out without my mask today because you can do it now. And I took it off and my face got so cold I had to put it back on again. So this is our monthly report. We're doing better than we thought we would. People have been coming back, which is great. So our weekly average is kind of lately ranging between $1,800 a week and $2,000 a week. So that comes down to about $1,900 a week, which is more than we often made in the old days. So we're really happy about that. Other thing I just want to say is yesterday was the first day in exactly 2 years that we could have the general public shopping in the Monday Market. And we'll have more and more of them because we're just starting to advertise it, but we are absolutely thrilled to have those people back. And some of them came and they said, oh, I feel like I've come home again. So that's really nice.
Yeah, it was amazing, the response from people from the outside. And we had some very unique things to offer. Suzanne Staten had donated a number of her beautiful vests, and they were literally, there was one woman who bought 4. They couldn't get enough. So that pushed us up over the top financially. And the outside folks, they're really excited. The word is getting around. Marketing and communications is doing a good job of putting it on the website. So the community at large is hearing more and more about us. So.
Just one minute, ladies. Okay. I want you to just be sure that everyone can see you. So stand so they can. We wish to express our gratitude to you, Cami and Susan, for the extraordinary contribution you've made to the Horizon House community for 4 years of service as co-directors of the Monday Market. And your leadership has been without precedence. Your dedication and success have been immense. And under your directorship, the income at the market has increased substantially, allowing expansion of some of our programs and activities. And you have attracted in your organization of the market a very large number of willing volunteers to support our work. And we thank them, these volunteers now as well, for the time and effort that they've contributed to make your organizational plan work, and for their support of the overall success of the Monday Market. We have a little more to say about that. We want to show you a little bit of special recognition by the following coming event. On Monday, the 28th of March, we will be holding the date as Cami and Susan Day at the Market. Not that you're not there every day anyway, but at which we expect we will which we expect you to be present to receive the many comments and appreciation which the residents will bring to you all day, and along with a giant greeting card or two for everyone who comes through the market that day to sign with their good wishes. That's our plan. Would you like to say a couple words here?
Just a couple. The main thing is just we appreciate your thanks and we thank you. And we have had a really good time working in the Monday Market, and it's always a surprise. We never know what's going to come in. So that's always interesting. But the best part is the people who are involved. And we just want to stress that we do work hard, Susan and I, but we do not do all the work. And there's this huge crew that works mostly behind the scenes. So if you only are in the market on Mondays, you don't see most of these people. But we both want to just let you know some of the things they do. For one thing, the donation cards in the mailroom and the North Tower, somebody empties those 3 times a day, every day, 3 times a day. That's what volunteers do. When things come down, volunteers inspect every single item, looking for chips or cracks or stains or gouges. They clean a lot of stuff. Everything has to be dusted, pretty much. Everything. The other day, we had a piece of wood with an intricate carving, and the volunteer was down there with a Q-tip dusting inside the little cracks in the wood. We wash a lot of dishes. We have certain volunteers who just say, "What do you have for me to wash today?" Scrub pots and pans. There's just a ton of that. The volunteers do the research to find out what something may be, how it works. Spend a lot of time on Google looking up instructions and looking up the prices of things. If we have especially good things like china or crystal or silver or antiques, we have a volunteer who especially is good at digging those things down. There are volunteers who polish the silver, polish the brass, polish the wood furniture every week. Volunteers test every electronic item, every appliance. Sometimes we get a stack of pens, like someone will give us a shoebox full of pens. Somebody tests every single pen. I want you to know that. So they are invaluable. If legs are wobbly on something, we make small repairs. We have volunteers who will tighten the screws on things. The main job is pricing, which is much harder than you would think, because we want to ask enough that we make money, but we don't want to ask so much that people will say, "Oh, that's too expensive, I'm not going to buy it." So that's a kind of a fine line there, but that's absolutely critical. The displays, we've been getting comments about how nice our displays are, and I have to say, I think they really are getting better and better. And we have a few volunteers who especially do the displays on the island in the middle, on the 2 tables, and people who move the furniture around in the living room until it looks kind of like it's supposed to be like that. We have people who specialize in specific things, the jewelry, sorting and pricing and examining all the jewelry, the books, the greeting cards, all these particular areas where all that work behind the scenes is done by volunteers. So when people come in on Monday, you say, "Oh, doesn't everything look great?" And I think of it like making lasagna. You've worked all day in your kitchen's a wreck making lasagna, but at the end of the day, you have this beautiful thing. That's kind of how the Monday Market is. And the final thing that we're grateful to our volunteers for is there's a lot of stuff that is donated that we can't use because it's not in perfect condition, or that nobody buys, and that has to go to Goodwill. So at least 4 times a week, we have volunteers who take a big load down to the Goodwill bins on B3. And once a month at the end of our clearance, we sometimes have more than the B3 room can accommodate. So then we have volunteers who pack that stuff into their car and drive it to Goodwill. So this is a big operation. It takes a village to run the Monday market, and we are so lucky we have great villagers.
And there are a few areas on top of that. In the clothing area, we do a lot of repair work, a lot of laundry, a lot of helping out with stains and things. We can't fix moth holes, so please don't send us those things. That's a common plea. The other thing, we have a lot of what we call heavy lifters, and the heavy lifters are people who go to apartments and bring things down, or they deliver things that you've purchased that you can't take home yourselves. We also have volunteers who support us in going to apartments that need to be emptied. And we sort through all of those things, see what Monday Market can use, and those have to be brought down and priced and processed. So the market is just made up of a huge family of absolutely, totally dedicated worker bees. And we're all doing this together. And then you come and you support us by buying things and telling your friends and neighbors, and we reach the outside. And even marketing and communications here at Horizon House is involved. They put our ads in the alert. They get things out on the websites. So it just takes an enormous amount to coordinate all that to bring in the money that we bring in. We have a few of our volunteers that are seated in the back corner. I'd like them to stand. We don't have the time to recognize everybody individually, but this is, I mean, we've got 45, 50 volunteers. And they work day in and day out for Monday Market. It is not just Monday.
I just wanted to add that Susan and Cami have created a magical environment that is so much fun to work with, that's part of why they've attracted this talented horde of willing volunteers. I hear over and over again, this is kind of like a town square. This is the place we come to meet our friends, and it's always full of animated greetings and laughter and good times. Cami and Susan, you've done something magical together, and we're very, very grateful.
Thank you. Jennifer Stucker, would you please come forward? Jennifer, it's with great pleasure that I have the privilege of introducing to you the very capable Jennifer Stucker, who, along with Barbara McHarg, who is unable to be with us today, will be assuming the leadership of the Monday Market as co-directors. And they will officially assume their responsibility on Friday, April 4th. No, Friday, April 1st, okay. The beginning of the council's fiscal year. Be sure to visit the market on Monday, April the 4th for the opening day of their term of office. And Jennifer, would you like to say a couple of words?
Sure. Thank you, Elizabeth. So this morning I had FaceTime with the other co-director, and Barbara says bonjour from Bordeaux. And so I encourage all of you, as soon as she is back, to speak all the French you know to her, to test her and make sure that this has been a worthwhile time that she's had in Bordeaux. Basically, Barbara will be handling the household items and I will be handling the clothing, but we figure this is going to be a very collaborative effort. We received great mentoring and lots of insights from Cami and Susan, and really they were wonderful teachers and friends. They will be missed, but hopefully they will be ever present in the market as both friends and as shoppers. And so, and of course, our appreciation to all of the volunteers that are veterans to the market and will return, and also to those who have signed up recently. We look forward to working with all of you and appreciate all of your work. And we welcome all of you as both donors and as shoppers and look forward to getting to know you better down in the market. Thank you. I forgot to introduce Judy Ostro.
Well, this sweater comes to the market. Isn't it nice? It is my privilege to introduce two co-chairs of the Elections Forum Committee and one of the many, many committees which benefits from the market. So please welcome Laura Weiss and Sam Sperry.
Good morning. I'm Laura Weiss, the co-chair, along with Sam Sperry of the Election Forums Committee. Neil McReynolds, who chaired the committee for 3 years, has retired as chair, but will continue to work for the committee or with the committee. And I want to recognize Neil's work over the last 3 years of leading the committee. So thank you, Neil. Today, Sam and I want to tell you about the work of our committee and how you can be involved. Election forums have been held at Horizon House for many years. Horizon House residents really care about what happens in the world and they want to participate. We've been told that our precinct has the highest voter turnout of any precinct in King County. Candidates know that Horizon House residents vote, and there are over 500 of us, so they're eager to come. For the last several years, our election forums have been co-sponsored by the First Hill Unit League of Women Voters. This year, Madeline Betts is the unit leader we'll be working with. Our work starts right after the deadline for candidate filing, which is May 20th this year. At our first meeting, we decide which races we will include in 3 forums before the August 2nd primary. We immediately start inviting candidates because many other organizations are calling them and planning their forums as well. And we invite all candidates who have filed for an office. Before each forum, with the support of Horizon House staff, we prepare a handout for residents with photos of all the candidates who will be participating and space for you to take notes. Meanwhile, we are preparing questions for the candidates. A question subcommittee, chaired, I hope again this year, by Doris Ray, does research on the issues, receives input from residents, and writes the questions. They meet weekly through much of the election season. And I must say that we have a reputation for asking good questions, and the candidates that are serious really like coming here. After the primary election, we go through a similar process, looking at the election results and deciding which races to cover in our final 3 forums before the general election, November 8th. How can Horizon House residents participate in the election forums? Well, you are welcome to join the committee as a member, and Sam and I are excited that 15 people, other than ourselves, signed up for the committee this year. So we really should have a very strong working committee. Of course, all residents can participate by attending the forums and submitting questions beforehand. There's always a box in the mailroom, or you can talk to members of the committee and tell them what your opinions are about the topics that are most important. This year, we are planning virtual forums once again. Anderson Hall will be closed, and the Sky Lounge can only hold 50 people capacity. We've in the past filled Anderson Hall and had overflow in the Fireside Lounge. So the virtual forums on Zoom, YouTube, HHTV are the best way to reach the most people, I think, this year. I'm now pleased to introduce Sam Sperry, the co-chair. He's going to talk about the races, which will be on your ballot. And I guess slides need to come up at this point, or you're going to say that.
Thank you, Laura, and good morning, everyone. In politics, it is said that a week is an eternity. So the really serious candidates have been campaigning really since last fall and well into the spring that we're just beginning. Although to the public, we really don't see much in the way of activity until candidates actually file for office, indicating that they are serious about running. As Laura has indicated, one of our jobs as a committee is to decide which elections that deserve a Horizon House forum so that you get to see and hear those particular candidates in that particular election. And the standard that we use for that selection largely is a matter of whether the contest is going to be competitive. And while it's still much too early to make final decisions on that now, we look at the upcoming ballot as it is possible to describe how these races are seen today in the middle of March. If you'll notice at the top of the list of the slide, the race for U.S. Senate and in our 7th congressional district, these 2 elections are not expected to be competitive. Senator Patty Murray is completing her 5th term in the Senate and has indicated she will be running for a 6th. And there are very few senators in our history who have been elected to 6 terms. Also in the 7th congressional district where we reside, Representative Pramila Jayapal is also expected to be the leading candidate in that race, and that's likely not to be competitive. What's interesting about that for us is that on a national basis, the Republicans and the Democrats are seen as being very competitive for who is going to either take control of or retain control of the House and the Senate. So there's going to be a lot of news around that, but it's not expected that we will have tough contests in those 2 races here at Horizon House. The same may be said for the elections in our 43rd state legislative district. Senator Jamie Peterson, Representatives Frank Chopp and Nicole Macri may have opponents, but the political talk at this stage is that they probably will all be reelected. Now, those aren't predictions, but when we look down the list, there are two potentially close contests that could occur in the elections for Secretary of State and King County Prosecutor. In the election for Secretary of State, the incumbent Democrat was appointed to fill the vacancy when his Republican predecessor left to join the Biden administration. And he likely will face a determined Republican challenge to reclaim that office. So this suggests one that could be a hotly contested statewide race. And the same can be said for King County Prosecutor. Longtime incumbent Dan Satterberg is not running for re-election, and 4 candidates have already indicated they will file for the office, which suggests a lively contest is likely to emerge. And the issues in that so far appear to be public safety, the best way to handle juvenile offenders, and the prosecution of misdemeanor and white-collar crimes. All those and others will probably be prominent roles in the campaign for county prosecutor. Now, also on the ballot will be elections for judicial positions and possibly 1 or 2 ballot issues. Well, we thank you for your attention. We look forward to presenting interesting forums for both the August and general election in November. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Joan Bowers, Coordinator for Social Activities, to provide the next spotlight.
Thank you, Sam. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce our next performer, presenter. If you haven't met her, you will soon. She's here to tell you how important our Horizon House parties and events are for our health, both physical, mental, and social. Please meet my neighbor, friend, colleague, Zoa Shumway, sometimes known as the Pearl Mesta of the West.
Thank you. I only have 3 pages, so this isn't going to take long. Zoa Shumway here, ready and willing to bring you life-changing news and information. The last few years, we've all been reading about studies showing that relationships with family members, friends, and community provide us with a sense of connection while supporting overall better health and longevity. Dozens of studies show that people who have fulfilling relationships are happier, have fewer health problems, and live longer. For socialization gives us a reduced risk of dementia and an extensive range of physical problems such as high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, and cardiovascular activities. The most exciting news is the fact that a more varied social network means you'll be happier, you'll be healthier. For friendships are the relationships we choose. That's us. Now, Horizon House, being a full-service organization, has the answer to any lack you may feel in the socialization department. As our party season roars back with passion, and be assured, we're going to want you. We have a summer picnic, which will feature 200 residents on the D level, celebrating summer and one another with live entertainment, great foods, terrific wine, and companionship. We have our world famous Halloween party, which I worked with last year, and our volunteers included 2 brand new residents. One woman had lived here about 30 minutes. And these are my two best besties since that party. This helping to plan a party, becoming acquainted with the people you're working with. It's the best way new residents can possibly figure out just who you want to stick with for the rest of your life. December brings our employee thank you party and check gifting, a fabulous way to welcome the holiday season and form new relationships with like-minded volunteers and employees. February, we may see the planning and production of a Valentine Party, featuring music, fine entertainment, and food, all intended to really get the love flowing. May will be the reinstatement of our world-famous birthday parties with our wonderful string-along band, wonderful hors d'oeuvres, fine wine, and fabulous birthday companionship. This is a roundup of win-win-wins. Oh, and we also have a New Year's Eve party. This is a roundup of win-win-wins for every one of our residents. So if you want to live a longer, happier life, increase your IQ points, be healthier, lose 10 unneeded pounds, become more creative, form relationships with at least 2 new best friends, become even more beautiful or more handsome, see Joan Bowers up here at our front table, and join a party planning group, because it's party time and we're going to need you. Let's party. Woohoo! Thank you.
No one should have to follow Zoa, shall we?
Oh, Carol.
It's all right.
I'm introducing you.
You are. I'm Carol Roach. Beginning at this meeting, I would like to resume Audrey Whitecamp's tradition of entertaining questions from curious residents in the Fireplace Lounge right after each resident council meeting. So bring me your burning questions, anything like, what's Hunter's astrological sign? Or what kind of protective service are they applying in the Sky Lounge anyway? I won't know the answers, but I'll try to find out for you, and I'll report my findings at the next resident council meeting. We will call this feature, Bring Your Burning Questions to the Fireplace.
You've just heard from 2 of our great committees, and we hope to do the same every month, so you'll learn about what's going on around here, how to participate. So let's start our new year off next month with the pleasure of participation. Our program vice president, May Gerstle, has completed the signups. So let's, it's that portion of it that takes the time and effort. And she's done a great job, and I want her to get credit, even though she isn't here today. And I want to tell you that the signups were just immense. We were so impressed with the number of you who are wanting to be involved. But I want to tell you that while we all enjoy participating in activities, if you only sign up for working puzzles or playing games, we hope that you'll decide as well to participate in the program committees and the social events and the entertainment and liaison groups and the arts, because these will create stimulation and service to our entire community. No one is too new to belong and begin to serve in this capacity, to keep our annual events alive and inviting. And one and all are welcome to join any program or activity at any time during the year by just letting the chair of that committee or the coordinator know, and all of the listings of these leaders is in the mailroom on the bulletin board. Does anyone here today have a question about anything that has occurred at this meeting? Raise your hand. Okay, if not, we have one.
Where do we find that monthly annual CEO report? Where do we find? Where do we find the annual monthly CEO report?
I saw it just this morning on the bulletin board for the administration. Okay. And this, you may have other questions you want to ask Carol to find some answers for you after the meeting.
Fireplace.
Yeah. And I want to remind you once more, you're going to hear a lot more about it. Cami and Susan Day at the market on the 28th of March. This meeting is adjourned.